Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Lion Lost, Wolves of DayZ, Tales of Holy Server, Fatal Attraction Vanilla servers, Redacted Vanilla servers, and Atlas for making this video possible. The more our characters weigh in DayZ 1.20, the slower we can move. So in this video we're going to check out exactly how this new mechanic works to maintain our speed and stamina, how getting wet can double the weight of our characters now, and how being heavy can drastically increase your weapons weight. To summarise this new mechanic in one sentence, the lower your maximum stamina is here, the slower your speed and the more penalties you're exposed to too. So maintaining as much maximum stamina as possible is key to avoiding the many different penalties that come with carrying too many supplies or too much loot in DayZ, which is now amplified by the fact that once again, the gear that you carry gets heavier the wetter you are. Now if you played DayZ for more than 3.5 minutes, you'll probably be aware of how much it can rain, potentially doubling the weight of your gear you carry in less than 20 minutes of light rain exposure. So first up, we're going to explore the different ways to reduce the wetness penalties that came with this patch. If you're an incredibly cool and intelligent person, you'll probably be aware of my two-part temperature guide here, and you've seen it and liked the video of course, explaining how there's several different stages of wetness for clothing ranging from dry to drenched. Which stages a piece of gear can have at a maximum is based on the hidden stat called absorbency, ranging from damp, starting at 5% down here, to drenched at 100%. So for example, when your suave new wool coat is dry at 0%, it weighs the normal weight of 3 kilograms, but because the wool coat is very absorbent in DayZ, it can absorb up to 100% right up to here, increasing its weight by 100% also, up to 6 kilograms instead of 3 kilograms. This applies to every single item in DayZ. The percentage of water an item can take on is the same percentage the weight of the item increases when it absorbs the maximum amount of water that it can. However, if the item has a maximum absorbency of soaked or above, it will transfer water to the items within the items, potentially doubling their weight too. So not only are you doubling the wool coat's weight by getting wet, you're also potentially doubling all of the items inside your wool coat too. Because of the exponential change here, this makes waterproof items or items that max out at the wet stage much better in this patch because they have less potential weight when wet, with getting wet in DayZ just being a matter of when and not if. Combining this with the stamina and speed penalties, this means that we need to change the way that we look at weight in DayZ from raw weight that we see on the item to raw weight multiplied by maximum item absorbency, with any item that can get soaked or higher, considering the items inside these pieces of clothing too. Sadly though, we don't have any absorbency stats for items in-game unless you get the item wet, which kind of defeats the purpose, but most of the items in DayZ are quite logical when it comes to how much water they can absorb. For example, cloth balaclavas absorb more than plastic gas masks, and plastic gas masks absorb more than metal. Like I said, avoiding wetness penalties is out of the question unless you hide from the rain, which to be honest none of us have the patience or time for, because even light rain will fill your items up with water in less than 20 minutes, with heavy rain doing it in about 5 minutes. Swimming on the other hand will instantly max out water absorbency for all of the items you carry and the items within your items, and the items that absorb water won't do so unless your body part that it's attached to is under the water. So standing in water means your hat won't get wet, but your shoes will. When your clothes get wet, you can wring out these pieces with one action, removing one wetness level that I was talking about earlier, making it the best method for drying clothes, but most items in the game don't give you this option sadly, which is something that might have to change. The next best option is placing these wet clothes next to a fireplace, drying them very rapidly in about 2 minutes compared to all other methods, because leaving the clothes on and letting them dry on your body or letting them dry on your body next to a fireplace would take well over an hour. Also, this won't dry items inside your clothing, so you need to take every single item out of your clothing, separate it around the fireplace, and we're going to have a lot more people looking like they're trying to sell their stuff. Ironically, on the flip side, if you place an item inside a soaked or drenched item, it will absorb the water, so be very careful not to place dry items inside wet items. Finally, for wetness, having containers of liquid inside of an item won't make it wet, and nor will the container fill up if you go swimming in a pond or something. Also, when a container is empty, it weighs much less, and drinking the water will remove the weight from you somehow. Even though it's still technically going into your stomach, the weight is getting removed. This means that carrying around water isn't a good idea if you want to avoid the speed and sway penalties of being too heavy, so filling up on water before your next epic leg of your journey is good practice now. And as an FYI, in 1.20, the cooking pot now weighs 1 kilogram, up from 440 grams. Like I said earlier, the lower your maximum stamina is, the more speed penalties you're going to collect in this patch, hooray, but these speed penalties don't start until you go over 6 kilograms in weight. Over the 6 kilogram threshold, your maximum stamina will start to drain with every single item that you pick up, because every item in DayZ has a weight stat assigned to it. The speed penalties we received now are related to the inertia that was added in patch 1.19. This means that only these 5 are impacted by how much we weigh: strafing while jogging, turn speed while jogging, sprint delay speed, strafing while sprinting, turn speed while sprinting. But this does not impact ADS or hipfire turn speed. So how fast you can jog, how fast you can sprint, how fast you can climb ladders, vault, low climb, high climb, swim, swing a melee weapon, how far you can jump, how fast you can equip a weapon, and how fast you can roll, all are not impacted by the weight of our characters. It's a lot like last patch in that low stamina can restrict or seriously hinder your ability to do any of these, but in this patch your weight impacts the time it takes to get into the sprint animation and how quickly you can zigzag while jogging or sprinting. Basically, only inertia is impacted when it comes to speed. The default time delays of inertia are here, so at less than 6 kilograms you can go from idle, walking or jogging into the sprint animation in exactly 0.45 seconds. At 50% max stamina, that time becomes 0.6 seconds, and at the lowest stamina possible in DayZ, which is 5%, it's a 0.72 second delay. This means a 33% increased inertia delay for anybody at 50% max stamina, and a 60% increased inertia delay for anybody with 5% max stamina, which is the lowest you can go. To summarize speed penalties then, this is an indirect nerf to our ability to zigzag and get into the sprint animation, changing all base inertia delays that we saw last patch in 1.19 and adding these modifiers to them, up to 60% increase in delay times depending on how much you weigh, which is going to be a lot more in this patch with how much water will weigh us down. Like in the last patch, when you're super heavy, you're limited to your ability to do certain actions, and your stamina will obviously run out sooner because you have less maximum stamina. With the changes to 1.20, the weight of our characters doesn't impact how much stamina we use in actions, nor does it increase the delay time to start regenerating stamina again, and it doesn't reduce the stamina per second that we regenerate based on our weight too. So no, you don't drain stamina faster the heavier you are while sprinting, climbing, dodging and the like, even though it would make sense for all of these actions to use more stamina while you're carrying more weight, so this may change. For now though, the only factors that impact regen speed are the stance of your character, if you have wound infection, or if you're wearing a gas mask with a filter. With wound infection or wearing a gas mask with a working filter, your stamina will regen 50% slower as seen here, with being idle allowing you to regen at the fastest possible rate. So it doesn't matter if you're standing, prone or crouched, as long as you're not moving, you will regenerate at the maximum speed possible in DayZ. Walking or crouch walking is 14% slower regen, while jogging will regenerate at 40% slower, which is nearly as bad as wearing a gas mask. You can avoid needing to regen at all with an EpiPen, but this won't stop one of the worst symptoms of being too heavy in DayZ, which is increased weapon sway. The lower your maximum stamina, the more sway you will have, with the differences being quite dramatic as you can see here. I'm not doing anything here, this is just natural sway patterns when your stamina is low, when it's half, and when it's full. So now that water weighs us down again, this sway will certainly be a factor that you need to consider when you're picking up items. And as a bonus, the ammo inside of weapons is now counted towards the weapon's weight, and these ammo types have all had their weight increased. As a final test for the curious bunch out there, the weight of our characters doesn't change how much health damage we receive from falling, and it doesn't increase the chance of a fracture either. So from the info in this video, do you believe there should be any changes to the way that stamina, weight and inertia mechanics work in DayZ? Because from the game files it looks like the devs have plans to increase stamina drain while you're heavy too, so being heavy could mean much more. And also I found some changes related to stamina regeneration delays, so the heavier you are, maybe the later your stamina will start regenerating. So now is the time to voice your opinions on this. Do you believe these changes are good? Do you think they're bad? Do you think there should be any changes to these mechanics? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.